half cut them and bend them and weave them in. Got a permanent hide here. You're shooting on the peas behind. You know, you could have 3 months very good shooting here, 5 minutes work, as long as you don't overshoot the field. The times and times and times you read in the magazine. I sit on this field, I sit underneath this tree, and all the while the birds settle up the other end. And they've probably sat under the same tree in the same hide for 7 or 8 Sundays on the run, and they wonder why the birds don't behave.
Yeah, pigeons soon wise up, don't they?
Definitely. And like most people don't use flags to keep the birds where they want them, so obviously don't overshoot whatever hide you're going to do.
Keep them guessing.
Keep them guessing. Move about or make the birds move for you. There you go, nice little hide, no problems at all.
What points do you need to bear in mind when you're building a hide, Jim?
Well, as long as it doesn't protrude too far out the front of the hedge, it's a good point, you know. And all these old dark green nets I used to use just sit there like the little pillar boxes, just a thing of the past.
This is quite a nice pattern, isn't it?
It's a very nice pattern. It looks very, very light when you look back from the decoys, but I tell you, the birds take absolutely no notice of it whatsoever. You've got dark green on either side of it, and I can assure you the birds will come straight to it. No problems at all. In a natural gap in the hedge, camouflaged up, nice lot of back cover from behind.
That'll break your outline up.
No chance of birds coming that way at all anyway. But that's the idea of it. The times you see people just sitting in a net hide and they've got no cover from behind. You know, the birds see them before they even arrive.
I suppose if it's out from the hedge line, birds that come from down the hedge or over the hedge can see straight into it, can't they?
That's right. You know, and there is a lot to be said for this V rather than a great big flat front on the net. But like I say, there's a 7 or 8 foot gap here. It's an ideal place to put it.
Yeah.
You know, the birds are used to going to these ash trees. Got some overhanging branches there, which means you've got to take the birds a little bit further out. And apart from that, if they come to decoy, no problems at all.
Right.
So,
good, I'll pass your gun.
Just pass Betsy over. That's it. A nice comfy seat, as Archie Coach used to say.
One of the most important things.
That it is. You've got to sit here for 7 or 8 hours. You don't want to be uncomfortable.
No, you don't.
There you go. I shan't shoot a shot until you're in the hide, so you'll be losing too many fivers.
Well, look, I better get going and get set up down the hedge back then.
All right, then, Robin.
We'll see you a bit later.
See you later.
The best hides are those which are made out of natural materials, taken from a hedgerow or growing vegetation blended and shaped to form a blind that can be used again and again. But natural hides have one big disadvantage. They can't be moved if conditions change. Lightweight camo netting is the answer. Understanding the concept of hide building is easier than you might first think. Even a slight shift in wind direction can result in birds bypassing the best decoy pattern and heading for a different part of the field. You might even find that the entire flight line into the field changes too. And when this happens, there's no alternative but to move to a different part of the field and rebuild your hide. The easy answer is to use lightweight camouflage netting draped from adjustable aluminium hide poles, which can be put up and taken down in minutes. Because they're light, they're also easy to carry. A great boon if you suddenly find yourself with a 300-yard walk to set up a new position. Camouflage nets come in a variety of colors to blend with all sorts of different backgrounds. For most of the time, Jim has been using a net made with real tree extra gray, and the pattern has fitted in really well with the fields he's been shooting. If your net hide doesn't blend in with its surroundings, don't expect pigeons to pay you a call. Remember these few simple points. Don't make your hide too large. It needs to be just big enough to take you and your equipment and allow full and free movement when swinging the gun. Where possible, keep the front of the net in line with the hedge you're using. If it protrudes too much, it will look unnatural to any pigeons which approach from the side or from behind. Always build your hide with a background to it, so that pigeons can't see your silhouette through the net. If you're not happy with what's immediately behind, fill it in with another camouflage net. When you've built your hide, always walk out into the field and look at it from a distance to check its compatibility with its surroundings. If the general effect is lighter than the hedgerow or ditch, don't worry unduly. You will probably find that pigeons will find it acceptable. If it's too dark, do something about it, and fast. Pigeons will spot the tonal difference from a long way off and stay away. Soften the image by either using a lighter net or place natural vegetation against the hide to break the overall color and create a friendlier contrast. Use a seat. On a long day, it will save you considerable discomfort and backache. The best hide is one which lets you sit comfortably, head just below the top of the net. Watch for pigeons through the netting. Don't peer over the top of the hide. Pigeons will see the movement of your face from miles away. If you have to look for birds with your head above the level of the hide, wear a camouflage face mask. They're made in all sorts of real tree patterns and are very effective. Your choice of position is crucial. Get it right, and you will enjoy whatever sport the field can offer on the day. Get it wrong, and you will draw only a fraction of the birds which come to feed. It's even possible that you will end up not getting a shot. The rules to remember are: don't be in too much of a rush to build a hide when you arrive at the field. Watch the birds to see how they are flighting to the field, and most importantly, which part of the field they are feeding on. Pay attention to wind direction. Ideally, you want the wind on your back or coming from the side. Wherever possible, avoid setting up with the wind in your face. It leads to all sorts of difficulties, with birds finding it difficult to get into the pattern. You might be able to engineer things by putting the decoys way out in the field and out of range of the gun, but it's difficult to get the balance right. Frustration is the usual result, and failure is never far away. Always avoid building a hide up against a tall hedge or belt of trees, or in the corner of a field surrounded by trees. Pigeons like plenty of space to maneuver in readiness for landing, and they want clear escape routes if danger does appear. Trees don't allow them this option, so they avoid the situation at all costs. Now you know where to build your hide, it's time to join the team as they attempt to keep a big flock of pigeons off another field of peas. It's always important to remember that when a farmer gives you permission to shoot, he does so because he wants to minimize damage to his valuable crops. But if you are not careful, you can actually cause damage of your own. For this reason, you should avoid walking through the crop too often. Where possible, always use tracks left by tractors and pick your way through thinner patches caused by bird damage. This way you won't anger the farmer and you will get to keep the shooting.
So what we've done, the birds are coming from behind us. We've got the birds on cradles resting on top of the peas. We've got a big tram line in here where the tractors have been spraying, knocked a lot of peas over. That's just to catch the eye of the birds what are missing us, going up either side. We don't use one very often, but today is probably a necessity. We're underneath a great big ash tree, purely and simply. It's the easiest place to hide the cameraman and myself. We've got a very big hide for all the equipment. Just a homemade contraption.
Jim has decided to move his bouncer to a different part of the decoy pattern. It has been working, but unfortunately it has tended to draw birds between the hide and the farm road on the edge of the field. Moving it will reroute the birds up the middle of the field, and this will make for safer shooting.
Hey! Wary of while you're pigeon shooting. Lady on a horse there, going up the side of the road, probably 150 yards away. That's why we're trying to decoy these birds right-handed, so we can fire straight down the centre of the field. Obviously not hit something like that or a car. So always be very, very conscious of where you're shooting and what surroundings you're in.
Most sporting shotguns are suitable for shooting pigeon, but most people choose to use an over and under because they balance well and point nicely. A lot of shooters, however, still prefer the smooth shooting characteristics of a semi-automatic shotgun.
As you can see, comparing it to the other gun, on a very, very sunny day where that shines. Obviously, if it was done in that pattern, it wouldn't. Would have been nice to get a triple with the first three with this gun. I suppose the famous saying is 2 out of 3 ain't bad. He's gonna go.
When you finish shooting for the day, it's usual to carry your birds off the field in a convenient shoulder sack. But as soon as you get back to your vehicle, you should tip them out and pack them neatly into plastic trays. Never leave them in a sack for any length of time, because the heat from their bodies will cause decomposition to set in, and when this happens, the game dealer will probably refuse to take them from you. If you lay them in plastic trays, the birds will cool down naturally, because fresh air can circulate around them. They will stay fresher longer, and the meat will go to market in peak condition. Jim and Robin visit Sporting Target's shooting ground to practice on targets which simulate the flight of wood pigeon, and at the same time loosen up and have some fun.
We've come along to Sporting Targets at Risley, one of the UK's premier playgrounds, just to have a little practice and a warm-up. We've found it very, very beneficial in the past to do this. People come from abroad, they seem to arrive very, very cold. we've found that 30, 40, 50 shots on the hide